Welcome to Morning Market Call. I'm your host, Doug Mumford, and with me this morning is Alex Sakaguchi. Welcome, Alex.
Thanks.
So this week we've been talking about case competitions and the different competitions that BYU students have participated in this year. Alex is going to talk to us about something slightly different, but kind of like a case competition, and that was a weekend he spent in New York, sponsored by L'Oreal. So most of us know L'Oreal by their cosmetics, the advertisements we see, but they're actually a large consumer packaged goods company with many brands that you probably recognize. Alex, what are some of the other brands that L'Oreal owns that we may have heard of?
There's Armani is one of their luxury brands. Shampoo lines like Garnier Fructis, or luxury cosmetics like Yves Saint Laurent.
Mm-hmm. So a very prestigious company based out of Paris with operations in New York, and they sponsor a weekend every year for potential students that are looking to get into the company. Tell us a little bit about how you got in to participate, and by the way, the weekend was called A Taste of L'Oreal. It's the weekend that they sponsor. Tell us a little bit more about it, how you got involved and what it entails.
Well, it's a pretty rigorous application process. They accept about 1,000 applicants per year of students that are interested in coming to L'Oreal. And the idea is really to give them a taste of what living in New York at a company like L'Oreal is all about. So you submit an application, and it's a bunch of case questions, and then you're selected. They usually take about the top 50.
So 50 out of 1,000.
Mm-hmm. And so this year they took actually 39, and then you compete, and you put in teams for the weekend, and then they interview you, and you find out whether or not you've been given an internship following.
So it's kind of it's competition for an internship at L'Oreal. And tell us a little bit about what kind of case questions they asked you, what kind of events you did during the weekend, and what you learned about the company.
So it's different in the sense that you're not with a team from your school. You go with other teams or other students from other schools, and you're put on a team to compete. The case questions this year were L'Oreal's Maybelline line. They currently don't have a fragrance, and so it was sifting through a bunch of data and making recommendations on whether or not they should launch a fragrance, who the target market would be, what would the promotions be, all the 4 Ps of marketing, mm-hmm. And then you were assessed based on your recommendations.
What were your impressions coming out of the weekend of the company? What did you think was fun about the weekend?
I thought it was fantastic. No other company that I've experienced so far puts as much time and effort into giving candidates an idea of what their company is like, and I found that very impressive. It was my first time to New York as well, so it was fun.
That's fun. Yeah. And we had one other student from BYU participate, right? Mm-hmm. So I think that was Tamina Sabai, and she's actually going to be going back to New York, I believe, with an internship with L'Oreal. Right. So BYU did very well this year. If students next year want to be involved, what recommendations would you have for them, both maybe in the application process and also if they make it to the weekend, how they can prepare themselves to do well there?
I think most importantly is to not only make sure you're honed on your skills of marketing, but equally as important, make sure that you are comfortable living and working in New York, and you're passionate about the beauty industry and about L'Oreal in particular. I've received feedback from past students, or regarding past students that have gone out, made the trip to New York, and have not communicated effectively their desire to work and live, in New York, and that's a big factor in determining who gets offered an internship. Something that L'Oreal pays close attention to. So if you want to go out there and compete, that's fantastic, but just make sure that that's somewhere where you want to be.
Great. Well, thanks so much for coming this morning, Alex, and telling us about your experience at A Taste of L'Oreal. And if you have an interest next year, do the things that Alex talked about, and hopefully we'll continue doing well. For Morning Market Call, I'm Doug Mumford.
The Morning Market Call is a production of the Marriott School of Management at Brigham Young University and is made possible by generous donations from Larry Kashjan and Gary Williams. This webcast was produced by Greg Lee, Tim Hart, Julie Kellett, and Jonathan Marucci.